Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, right off the bat, I need you to do something for me. I need you to just completely forget everything you think you know about standard history. Seriously, just take those traditional timelines you learned in school and toss them out the window for a second, because we are about to explore an absolutely incredible ancient mystery. Let's start with a really wild number, 70 meters. That is the staggering size of a centuries-old tomb tucked away in a small village in Lebanon. Just try to picture that in your head. To put it into perspective, it's literally 35 times the size of a normal human grave. That's roughly the length of an entire Boeing 747 airplane. I mean, that immediately forces the question, right? What kind of being could a tomb that massive possibly belong to? Well, today, we're stepping right past the usual mythology to uncover the actual truth about the Age of Giants, lost early civilizations, and the extraordinary guy who stepped up to construct humanity's very first fortress of defense. All right, let's jump right into part one, the Age of Giants and the early Earth. You see, in this wild, early era of Earth, things were just vastly different. We're talking about a time with a much stronger magnetic field and a completely fresh genetic pool, which meant lifespans were unimaginably long. Prophet Sheeth himself lived for an astonishing 912 years, and his father, Adam, well, he lived to be close to 1,000. Now, because of this environment, a really extreme physical and moral divide started to develop. Up high in the rugged terrain, you had the mountain dwellers. These folks were hardened by steep rocky paths and heavy physical work, giving them massive, giant-like strength. But down below? Down in the valleys lived the descendants of Kabil, and they became completely lost, just totally absorbed in early forms of music, entertainment, and endless distraction. Which brings us to part two, the first Earthborn prophet. Right, so following the massive tragedy, the very first murder of a Kabil by Kabil, humanity was severely fractured. It was a dark time. But out of that darkness, a new figure stepped onto the scene, Sheeth. His name literally translates to gift of Allah. He was the very first prophet to actually be born right here on Earth. He's described as basically a direct mirror image of his dad, Adam. But crucially, he was chosen to carry what's called the Nur, this special spiritual chain of light that would eventually travel all the way down through history to reach Prophet Muhammad. But Sheeth wasn't just a spiritual guide, he was a literal pioneer of human civilization. It's like he single-handedly dragged humanity forward. He successfully transitioned people through 3 huge leaps, taking them from a scattered, nomadic way of life, organizing them into a settled society, and then, ultimately, engineering the world's very first defended fortress. Moving on to part 3, Secrets of the First Fortress. So, you're probably wondering, how exactly did Sheeth protect his newly organized society from those unrestrained valley descendants getting restless down below? Well, Islamic tradition recognizes him as the very first human to truly understand the secrets of metals. He essentially spoke the language of the elements and figured out how to successfully separate gold from silver. Yep, humanity's first alchemist. But here's the kicker. He didn't use this incredible knowledge to get rich. Not at all. He mastered it purely to ensure his people's survival. He actually took that deep alchemical knowledge and used it to forge the very first weapons of defense. This made him the first prophet to ever wield a sword. But wait, let me be clear here. This wasn't about conquest or aggression. No, it was entirely about establishing a protected community of iron. He built a literal and figurative wall to guard his people's divine mandate and faith, the trust of Allah, from the absolute chaos brewing down in the valley. Let's look at part 4, 50 pages of hidden wisdom. You know, his strength wasn't just physical or martial. His legacy is deeply rooted in a profound intellect. Allah actually revealed 50 pages to him, and these weren't just standard moral rules. They contained breathtaking, universe-bending truths about the nature of matter, the stars, the cosmos, advanced architecture, and the complex principles of keeping justice standing. This incredible depth of divine wisdom is exactly why his name became absolutely legendary across ancient Greece, Egypt, and in esoteric teachings all over the world. And finally, part 5, 4 lessons from the first fortress. Okay, so let's synthesize all this incredible history into 4 really practical takeaways for us today. Lesson 1. The greatest danger almost always targets your internal defenses first. Think about it. The armies of the plains didn't charge up the mountain with swords right away. No, they attacked with music, curiosity, and these really subtle distractions that slowly, over time, completely dissolved the moral boundaries of the mountain people. Secondly, Your environment literally shapes your destiny. Those mountain people survived and stayed strong for a long time specifically because they stuck together. They followed the divine rule of avoiding the corruption happening down in the valley. And honestly, just like they had to avoid that downward pull, your immediate environment and the people you hang out with actively shape your own resilience today, for sure. Now, our third lesson is that knowledge is a trust. Prophet Sheeth held this mind-blowing knowledge of the universe, right? But he didn't lock away his 50 pages in a vault somewhere. Profound knowledge isn't meant to be hoarded. It has to be actively shared and taught so that the truth actually lives on and survives across generations. And finally, our fourth lesson, forgetting is the enemy. We live in a modern era that is absolutely overflowing with endless entertainment, scrolling, and constant distractions. Honestly, it's a lot like those ancient valleys. Because of that, we have to actively fight our natural human tendency to just forget our spiritual foundations. We really need to take absolute accountability and vigorously protect our faith, our iman, from quietly slipping away while we aren't paying attention. So I'm going to leave you with this urgent final thought, straight from the legacy of the giant prophet, something to really chew on long after this explainer ends. Take a hard look at your life right now. Who are you surrounding yourself with? And will you let that ancient chain of light break with you? Build your fortress, guard your trust, and never, ever stop seeking the truth.